Hello and welcome. We're going to give just one more minute to give everyone a chance to get logged in. We know for some people it's the end of day. And so just let's give 30 seconds. We had almost 60 people registered. So we'll give just a few minutes for people to get logged in. Wonderful. Well, thank you and welcome to our audience. Thank you guys for dropping your info in the chat so we know who we're talking to. Speaking of who you're talking to, my name is Marie Boone Clark, and I'm founder and executive director of Birthing the Magic Collaborative. We are 501c3, and our primary focus is to do just what we're doing right now, is to create these spaces where you get to meet amazing, brilliant people. 99 point, well, right now, all of them have been from the diaspora, experts in their respective fields. And so today we are talking about bounce back, right? So I'm so excited to have Melanie Times with us. Melanie is a Grand Canyon University graduate. She has a Bachelor of Science degree and over 5 years of experience as a personal trainer. She is a former educator with the National Academy of Sports Medicine. She now serves as a partner account manager, blending her fitness background with strategic business development. And Melanie is very passionate about health, education, building impactful partnerships, and she's a new mom. And joining Melanie is Vanessa Ray Rourke, who is a real estate agent and investor. She has had 7 years in the industry, 4 of which she's spent here in Arizona with us. She serves as part of our advisory council and has been a top broker with some of the biggest firms that we know in real estate, including Berkshire Hathaway, Platinum Living Realty, and she's currently with Coldwell Banker. She brings lots of expertise around the Phoenix metro area, the Atlanta metro area. We've even talked about properties in New York, so she just knows everything. And she takes pride in building lasting relationships with her clients because it's more than just a house, it's a place that you call home. So Vanessa, Melanie, thank you for joining me this afternoon. I always say words can never quite express what you do, and certainly doesn't reflect the passion that I know you both have for this subject. So I will let Vanessa share a little bit more about herself, anything that I left out or that you want to elaborate on. And then I know Melanie has a really rich conversation prepared for us.
Yes, thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. I am so excited for this conversation just because it has been my life. I'm a mom of 3. I have a almost 10-year-old, 9-year-old, and 5-year-old. And each of the children, I did a different birth experience. So I had a C-section first, and then a VBAC, and then in a hospital, and then a home birth. So I've kind of ran the gamut of how to have a baby with each one. It was just a different thing. And every single time, I feel like it was a different scenario with my weight fluctuation. I wasn't one of those like, oh yeah, you're pregnant, you're only gonna gain, what is it, like under 80 pounds or something. My
I think it's
first
25.
child, it was what?
I think it's 25 is what you're supposed to gain, but go
Oh
ahead.
Yeah.
God. So I took it overboard. I was like, my husband, I got on the scale and I was 210 and my husband was and he I was used to being like maybe like 155 and my husband was just like, how amazing is it that you get to say you reached over 200 pounds? And so we went through just a lot of transition with all of the weight loss and up and down and yo-yoing and body changes. And I learned a lot about fitness in that process and how important it is. So I'm so excited, Melanie, for you to share with us, just because I kind of been there, right? I was the mom that overworked after having birth and then caused her abs to split open, had to go to months and months of physical therapy for that. I've been the mom that just, let the breastfeeding and walking work its way out. So I feel like I've just had so many experiences here, but I've never spoken to an expert like you. So I'm really excited to hear about what you want to share with us today.
Awesome. Yeah, and it's a great story too. Like it sounds like you've had a lot of experience. I just had my first baby last year, so she's one. And I'm like, that's crazy having multiple experiences, and yours sounds so amazing too. So thank you. And thank you for that great introduction as well. I'm definitely excited to start providing some information and feedback. Um, I'm passionate about fitness anyways. So after having a baby, it really provided more light on an area I didn't have much experience in. So I'm excited to provide that with you guys and to kind of hear more of like your guys' story and kind of share some more knowledge if you guys don't already have some.
Well,
Oh,
awesome.
oh, I'm still losing my baby fat, despite the fact that my baby is 42. So I need this help. I need this too.
Yeah, it really yes, it really feels like it stays with you. Do you feel like there's any time period, Melanie, you should give yourself for that bounce back, in your opinion?
Yeah, so I do kind of feel like it should be maybe like a month, kind of give yourself time to kind of like just spend time with your baby, but also getting to that walking stage again and getting, used to moving. Because I remember when I first had my baby, I couldn't walk for a little bit, but it was just because that was an all new experience for me. I'm sure after you have your first baby and your second one, it kind of is a little bit easier. So I usually tell women about 2 weeks, just give yourself time and then gradually, because you do have to have that check in after the month. So once that 1 month check in, they should tell you if you're able to. But you do need to wait for clearance, I should say, before just hopping in.
1000%. I completely agree. I mean, I was one where I had my C-section, but I gained all this weight because I was used to being just active and fit and muscular. But with my first baby, I just like blew it out of the park with my weight gain. And so right after I had that C-section, they said 6 weeks. And I was like, okay, that 6 weeks, I'm coming in that gym hard and I'm going to be lifting and pushing
Yeah.
and going. And I cannot tell you the amount of years that I had to pay for my ignorance.
Mm.
Just because I really thought, because I had worked out before and the doctor said that I'm fine, that everything was okay. But I
Yeah.
learned the hard way that you have to take your time and ease on into it. And there's just so much that your body does naturally, with breastfeeding and rest and how important that component is to your fitness journey.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. And that's something that it's a little different, especially if you haven't had a baby. You just automatically know you're supposed to push yourself in the gym. But once you have that and you notice that your body's like, but you're like, I could do it, that's over pushing, right? And so there's so many like ideas in our head that we have to look this way so quickly, or we need to like our body needs to look just like this, and it's our body's all different. It's all changed. So yeah, it'll bounce back when it's ready to bounce back.
Yes,
And
and you'd be surprised just how much just breastfeeding alone really like helped that stomach area contract and get back to a normal size. I mean, I was just so impressed by just the like doing an extra pump and breastfeeding. That will get your stomach back quick as well. And I think that it's okay just to lean into what actually feels good. What
Yeah.
do you think is a great um exercise for you to do after you're past that walking stage?
Yeah, so that's what we'll talk about too today is going to be more of like resistance training. So
Mhm.
it doesn't need to be heavy lifting. It would be mostly like body weight exercises, things that aren't too um too heavy, but it's mostly like you just moving because a lot of times even doesn't even have to be pregnancy. It could be being older or, just being newer in the gym. Your body's not used to certain movements. So I think once you start just moving again and getting that rhythm, then you'll start noticing big difference. Like you said, breastfeeding does start helping that abdomen contract, so it starts to really bring that in as well. So if we just do regular movements, you'll see big changes, and then that's when a fitness plan can get set to where you can start noticing bigger changes. Because a lot of times our metabolism is different as well after we give birth, so you can make really big changes in that first year of postpartum.
Yeah, that's so key. I mean, I think my first mistake, my rookie mistake, was going in and doing CrossFit right after pregnancy. Do
Mm,
not recommend. I had
yeah.
ripped abs. I was pushing myself way too much. But after I got a little wiser, my second child, one of the workouts that I did that really made sense, that I think speaks to what you're talking to with this resistance, was the bar workouts where they just really do those intercostal muscle movements. That
Mhm.
was so miraculous for me. I feel like when I did that, even though it was less like intense, my
Yeah.
result for weight loss was much more rapid because I don't know if it was the pace or do you know any of the science behind that or why that might be?
Yeah, so bar is great too because it doesn't have a lot of heavy weights, but it is you using your body weight. So that's kind of the same thing when it comes to resistance training. Bar is more specified to like those smaller muscles similar to like Pilates. So that's why it's important to do those type of workouts, or I should say those type of plans, because they do work on those micro muscles that help build the core and the pelvic floor, all of that stuff that is what's changed in those 9 months. So yeah.
Oh, I love that. I'm so glad that you mentioned pelvic floor. I read this one of my girlfriends, she gifted it to me at my baby shower. It was called Raising Bebe. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's like an American's take on French parenting. And there, when I read this book, I realized, oh my goodness, we are leaps and bounds behind on education for our mamas here in the US. Because in that book, they mentioned it was mandatory for French women to begin pelvic floor therapy after their recovery period immediately. And I actually didn't get to experience the beauty of that until my third child, believe it or not. So I literally just suffered in silence after your pregnancy and weight loss. And I'm talking, I lost all my pregnancy weight, was back to my pre-baby body twice, but my pelvic floor had been neglected. And when I learned about pelvic floor therapy, it just opened up so much for me. I was able to jump again, laugh, sneeze without any worries. And it also in the bedroom, it improved things dramatically. And it's just a few small like lifts and breathing exercises. And it just is so miraculous when you think about our bodies and how just intimate and integrated they are. Do you have any exercises you recommend for activating that pelvic floor if you didn't want to see like a pelvic floor specialist?
Yeah, so one of the key ones I would recommend would be the Kegels. to where you are like engaging that floor, a lot of times that is the best practice, even like right after giving birth, starting that. So before even going into the gym and doing all of that, you can start doing that slowly, and that will be paired with walking, perfect, just to get started. And I know those eager mamas ready to get started, those are a couple key things.
Oh, I love that. So when you think about your postpartum recovery, what do you think helps get you going? Do you think that you need like a support system for this process, or should it be just you and your baby in the process? What do you think sets you up for success in getting back to your pre-body weight or pre-baby weight?
Yeah, so support is key. I think a lot of times our idea is always trying to, oh, but I don't have this or I need this, and always kind of like an excuse in a way to get to the gym or to work on it. So I would say support would be the number one. And it's not just someone pushing you to go, maybe just having somebody watch your baby for you while you go. I think that's one of the hardest things, but there's a lot of other ways to, I guess, see it differently. For me, like I didn't really, it was just me and my husband for a little bit of that time. So when it came to working out, I would either have her strapped with me and I would just be doing like regular lunges, just holding on to our staircase and just doing like a lunge, or you can hold on to someone else and doing a lunge or whatever's like available. But different things like that are at home workouts where you're still finding that time to, you know, work out, but not have to feel like there's always a reason behind not doing it. You do need support, but there's also other workarounds at home workouts too. So,
Oh, I love that. Yes, just
And I'm a
strap
big
the baby
proponent.
on and get it going.
And I'm a big proponent of that pelvic health, of having a pelvic health therapist. I think it's I don't want to say relatively new, but a lot of practitioners still don't recommend that mamas see. But then, as you mentioned, Vanessa, as we get older, or even immediately, because you're certainly not older, but there are so many long-term effects that not having that care and not understanding, as you mentioned, Melanie, the Kegels and or understanding the exercises that you can do. And we've had pelvic health therapists on our workshops before, and I think we have a couple on our YouTube channel. And many times it is covered by insurance. And so seeing someone who specializes in that particular part of the anatomy, I think is important. And Melanie, are we just talking? I know you probably have a whole presentation. So I'm not
oh,
going
yeah.
to,
No, it's fine. Like I want to
because I
answer
was about to
questions
go down
too.
another path.
I
Okay.
do have a
Because
presentation, but
I was like, oh, and I love what she said, but I'm not going to say it. I'm going to let you talk, and then I'll come back to. I made a point. I caught it when the comment that Vanessa made. I'll bring it back at the end. Go ahead, take over the floor.
okay, all right. I'll go ahead and share my screen so that you can kind of see the PowerPoint that I have presented. Let me just.
And while she's doing that, I'm going to say it because otherwise I'll forget. We were talking about how soon should you start back, and I agree, Vanessa, not too soon. One of the midwives that did our workshop earlier today, I don't know how many of you have heard of the 555, that postpartum recovery. It's 5 days in the bed, and I quote Dr. Heather, in the bed under the covers. You are in bed for 5 days. And then 5 days on the bed. You can sit on the bed, you can lay on the bed, but you are still in the bed. And then 5 additional days near the bed. So if I'm going to be all around the bed, that means I can't be trying to run in and do what did you say, Vanessa? Ab
Oh, good. Ab workouts.
so at least that's at least 15 days that practitioners are saying you need to recover. And this was irregardless of a C-section. And so I'm sure there's a modification with C-sections as well. So for those who weren't in the workshop with Heather and Rakaya, we'll have a recording on our YouTube, but that was an eye-opener for me. I had not heard that one
Wow.
before.
Yeah, and as Vanessa mentioned too, like overseas and in Europe, they have a lot longer time where they do recommend you staying in bed. So I think it's about a month they recommend versus the 555. I know for us it's because we have to get back to work. We don't have that extended period, but in Europe they give you much more time and everything.
Can I tell you guys something really intimate and scary? So
Yeah.
I I'm just one of those people where I've got to be pushing myself at all times. And
Mm,
so after my third child, it was a home birth. And I thought I recovered from a C-section. I can easily pace myself. I know this. I know how to work out. I can do what I need to do. So what I did is I went to the gym and I was just working out like 3 times a week, lifting, doing things that I thought I was okay with when my son was 3 months because
mm.
I thought, 3 months, that's plenty of time. I had prolapse. I don't know if anyone knows what that is, but it's when my vagina was falling out of me.
My God.
And I had to call my midwife because I'm like, what is going on? I
Wow.
thought that this was going to be the end of my sex life. I thought that this was just the end for me. And she literally was like, no, Vanessa, it's okay. It happens. I'd never had anyone tell me that that was even possible. And so I was terrified. And she gave me instructions. And that's when we started the pelvic floor therapy. And it completely recovered. And I have peace now, and everything is a million% grand down there. But that's just to show how serious this is. You
Exactly. Yeah.
push yourself, even if you know you're an athlete, even if you know that, you like that thrill of like working out hard, there will be consequences if you don't take that time.
I
Yeah.
thank you for your transparency, Vanessa. I think that's something for us to be very mindful of, and recognizing that our culture has created this perception of bouncing back, right? And so, God forbid that you have a 3-month-old and you're still carrying your baby weight because so and so on social media, isn't, and she's got her little snatched waist or whatever. And
Mhm.
mommies, I literally know OBs that would give you a C-section and a teeny tiny tummy tuck at the same time.
Mhm.
So don't believe that everyone that comes out really she worked that hard to get that snatched waist. But I digress. Go ahead, Melanie.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for sharing, and we can definitely keep discussing as we go through the PowerPoints. I'll have times for you to ask questions. Interrupt me too if you have questions. This is learning for me. I am now obviously in a different role, but I used to be a trainer. And so my biggest goal was to always teach my clients because I wanted them to be able to take from what they have and utilize it, not need me. So definitely if you have your phone, if you want to take screenshots, if you guys have like anything to kind of keep with that information, you can. I'll tell you when to kind of take pictures and stuff too. But I want to kind of teach you guys more about exercises to utilize. If not, and yeah, just give you guys all the knowledge. But definitely give me tips, or if you guys have questions, or if you have some more information, definitely stop me, okay? But yeah, so can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. Let me just make sure that it is going. Perfect. So this is going to be the agenda today. We're going to talk about the introduction, the bump, the birth, the nutrition, bouncing back. Big thing would be exercise plan. So I'll give you guys some tips there where you can kind of take screenshots, images if you need, and just talk about that body confidence. So my introduction has already been given to me. Appreciate it. I feel like for me, I do want to just mention that I did just have a baby in February of last year. So she was born on Valentine's Day. So that day is ruined for me. Now it's all about her. But yeah, it's been a journey. I didn't know what to expect, obviously being a trainer, and then knowing all that information to have a baby, you over prepare, but you can never be prepared for when that happens. So um, I've learned a lot, grown a lot, and like you said, there's things that just you didn't know your hormones would be affected like this, or you didn't know that it would be this hard to get rid of body fat, or you think that you're supposed to look one way and you're not. So this will be a lot of introduction of just information, but your body is going to be different. So don't expect or have that high expectation that you have to be perfect. It's a process and it doesn't happen overnight. So the first thing I was going to talk about would just be the start, just getting pregnant. If you are thinking about it, what that kind of looks like, just kind of having that healthy mindset going into it. I know sometimes it's not planned, so we can't really plan for everything. But when we can, we want to just work on those things that we don't think about, which would be like our diet, or if we are exercising. People that have hypertension or diabetes, I know that stuff is already something that you're taking medication for and things like that, but also thinking of alternatives to kind of help to prepare you to be healthy and your baby. Because I do know certain medications aren't good mix. So I put some recommendations of just vitamins that you can start taking to kind of prepare for that. Um, and one of the big benefits I did want to say too, when you are preparing to have a baby, would just be exercising. It doesn't have to be a lot, but just anything can also decrease your chances of getting that gestational diabetes, hypertension, preterm births. All those things can be kind of prevented a little bit, but you never know. It's like everything always changes, so we can't prepare for everything, but these are just some helpful tips. Then we're going to move into the bump, which is pretty much getting pregnant, that 40-week time frame. Everyone's different too, so sometimes it's before you'll have that baby, or sometimes it's after. For me, mine was after that 40-week mark. So yeah, physical changes that will happen. I do want to bring up. We talked about it too. Um, Posture, so your posture will change, that your belly will grow, but you also will have like the gravity, so you'll notice that balancing may be a little bit different. So we'll talk a little bit more about how to work with that to still get those goals of fitness. So one thing I did want to mention on this slide would just be about working out, overworking when you are in that prenatal, and also just getting pregnant when you're in that first trimester. You do want to do the 150 recommended minutes of exercise, but you just want to feel for your body. I know if you're used to working out, then you're naturally going to push yourself, but also kind of take a scale back, just because you have to think now that you are pregnant. So it's important to notice if you are feeling a little bit dizzy, having headaches. There can be some extremes like bleeding. So that's when you would want to stop the workout and kind of consult with a professional there. But it is normal to kind of have lower back pain or like pelvic pain a little bit. It's just discomfort. Your body is changing. So just make sure that you listen to your body when it comes to that stuff. So one thing I did want to kind of bring up is, what are some ways that you stayed fit before pregnancy or kind of during that time frame? Do you guys have any?
Oh yeah, I think just going out to workout classes and hiking and doing all those things. I've heard that when you exercise when you're pregnant, as your heart rate increases, the baby's heart rate does too. Do you know if that's factual?
Honestly, I don't know, because I know their heart rate is natural, but I do know it is good for your heart rate to increase, because that kind of is pushing your heart to work harder. If it's not used to working harder, because you're growing, so it's like making it healthier as you do that.
Yeah.
That's really cool though. But yeah, like I said, like if you are doing workouts when you're pregnant, it's great. Were you working out before you got pregnant too? Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. So you kind of stick with your same workout routine?
I do. I love to switch it up. I'm one of those people that, like right now, I'm not working out as much because I'm in my busy season at work. But then if you talk to me 3 months from now, I'm probably going to the gym 4 times a week and pretty dedicated. So I'm one of those 3 months on, 3 months off people. But when I'm
Oh,
on, I'm on. I love just bar. I love Pilates. I love hiking. I love lifting weights. I feel like that has really made a dramatic difference. Like sometimes I feel like I'm still getting the benefits now of weights I lifted a year ago when I'm in my off period.
Awesome. Yeah. What about you, Marie?
I enjoy hiking now that I'm here. I've become a devotee of Peloton because I can like do it in my house and I don't have to go to the gym and nobody is talking to me and trying to
I love that.
just do it and look as crazy as I want to look. Which is so bad because we literally have a gym as part of the club down, like I can walk to it, it's a mile away, you know. But then they want to talk because they're your neighbors and so I've got my,
Yeah.
and then I have a rower.
Oh,
I
nice.
do my rower and watch Lifetime movies. So as far as what I did before I got pregnant, that was 42 years ago, my friend. We do not remember. That's what I'm trying to do now so that I don't become some brittle old lady that can't run after her grandkids. So
Yeah, that's awesome though. Yeah, and I just asked too because in general, it's just good to kind of get other people's ideas of fitness because there's all types of ways to kind of stay healthy. And so like you mentioned hiking and all of those different ways are awesome. So that's another thing that you can kind of add to your workout plan, hiking, rowing. That's great for your back. It's a full body workout as well too. So super cool. But yeah, so brought that up just to kind of mention, like I said, heart health, cardiovascular, keeping your heart pumping harder for preparing yourself. That's going to be the best way to prevent the additional diseases that I mentioned. So, a little bit about the first trimester. Um, we already kind of know a little bit about that. So I'm just going to briefly go over the trimesters for pregnancy. But the biggest thing for the first one would be the relaxin hormone. So that's when I mentioned that you may feel some uncomfortability there. That's definitely going to be from, just moving into those that 1 to 3 month time frame of the first trimester. But you can still stick to the same workouts that you've been doing. And aerobic exercises, all of that, nothing would change, not even what you're eating. You can just keep working out there. It's when you move to the second trimester where you'll notice that you may need to scale back a little bit on the intensity of the workout. And then also, like I mentioned, that balancing. And that's where you'd want to work on keeping being cautious when you're working out, just because you are going to be a little bit moving a little bit more with that baby there. One thing I did want to bring up as well is stretching. A lot of times we don't stretch naturally, but it is also something to kind of think about as well when you are pregnant. Your body's you're going to have back pain, different types of things are going to be changing. So it's important to just keep yourself stretched and flexible throughout the pregnancy as well. Just one thing to keep in mind when you are stretching is just to avoid like those twisting, obviously being on your stomach and different things like that so that it doesn't affect the baby at all. But in the third trimester, that's going to be pushing out to that 41 week mark. So, biggest thing here would just be to make sure you're not lying down too on your back for too long. One of the things is high blood pressure when you're pregnant, and that baby as well growing. So you just want to make sure you're not in any compromising positions. Um, but yeah, that would pretty much be just those trimesters and big things to like look out for. You'll notice that your body's changing, where there's going to be some joint pains, some dysfunctions as well. But they all do go back. Once you give birth, they should naturally start to go back. And we kind of talked about this as well, where when you are in that fourth trimester time frame, there's gradually to increase into that workout plan. So definitely keep that in mind. And focus maybe more when you are trying to get back into it is just core, pelvic floor muscle exercises, especially if you are getting that clearance from that healthcare provider.
can I ask, Melanie,
Like
what do
that.
you think during this period about like prenatal yoga? Um, as an expert, I mean, I see a lot of people take prenatal yoga classes. Um, and I don't know that I've seen, and I know there's some doulas in the audience. Is there any demonstrated benefit for mom who's that does it shorten her labor period? Does it help her deliver better if you take that prenatal? I mean, if you take prenatal specific specifically prenatal yoga?
Yeah, definitely. So there are benefits to doing that prenatal yoga. One of the biggest one, like we mentioned, was the stretching and breathing. I know a lot of times when you're giving birth, they're breathe, breathe, and that's a big thing. And that's just another thing that helps with when you're stretching in yoga is just being in touch with your body and flexibility. So that's one of the biggest things. And you'll notice too, because you're those hormones, like I mentioned, the relaxin is loose. It's important to kind of um, strengthen those areas and stretch. That goes for when you're not pregnant as well. Like for example, you see bodybuilders that can't scratch their back, right? It's because they haven't stretched, but they have big muscles. So if you're trying to build muscle as well, and you want to be toned or have sculpt, you want to be able to stretch your body as well, or stretch to make sure that muscle is formed the way you want it to be formed. So same thing for pregnancy. After you have the baby, you want your abs to bounce back. They need to be able to have been, I guess, targeted, if you will, or engaged to have that bounce back. So same thing with stretching. If you're stretching in those there areas that were sore or felt uncomfortable after you give birth, they'll be able to bounce back a little bit quicker because they were kind of worked on, if you will, or uh, yeah, targeted, I should say.
Thank you. I just
I'm
didn't have to ask anyone. I know it's a big practice.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you mentioned that word engaged, right? Because one of the things that was just terrifying for me after I had my baby was I could not engage my ab muscles. And for somebody who's like been working out for a while, you always know they say like engage your abs. I would engage and nothing would be there. It was almost like there was just this gap of separation. And I did find out later that I had the diastases recti, where your abs kind of
Mhm.
separate, never fully go back together. And one of the things that blew my mind when I went to a physical therapist to get healing for that ab situation is they just recommended breath work. And there's so much power, like you said, in the stretching and the breathing, in just restoring and getting those muscles back together. There's so much life in our breath. And I just was so enamored with just the way that God or whoever designed our bodies to really be rejuvenated just by air, because now after doing that work I can engage my abs. But during that time right after baby, like even like I think it was 6 or 7 months after baby, I still wasn't able to feel or engage those ab muscles. But breath work was the true thing. Now I had done ab work, I had done with like they always tell you like bend your knees and put your knees up into your abs. I had done all that and nothing got better results for me personally than that breath work.
Yeah, exactly. And so and that goes hand in hand with stretching too. So I think it's all a combination of that where you see the biggest results. So it's great that you mentioned that. So now we're going to move on to just the birth and what that kind of looks like, moving into fitness and kind of where you can get started, where you're at. So when it comes to like the postnatal, we kind of mentioned it, how you're gradually improving. One thing that's important to think about is exercise helps increase those abdominal muscles, like we mentioned, energy, sleep, stress, even postpartum depression. So it's just kind of important to kind of get your mind on something else, because I know after having a baby, your mind is on everything else. So kind of encouraging promoting that health is important. We kind of noticed just in like studies that a lot of women after having a baby don't really want to work out. You have so many other things going on. So that's kind of the last thing on your mind. So kind of pushing that is one of the biggest things. And it doesn't have to be about physical either. It just can be about mental and just getting out there and moving. So again, that 150 minutes that I mentioned, you can
Oh, I
build back up to that.
love that. That's so powerful because it's, oh, sorry. I
No,
was
no, no,
just saying
you're fine.
one of the things that I'm glad that you mentioned that. One of the things that helped me when I didn't feel like exercising because emotionally I was just going through a lot with that transition was there's meetup.com. They have all these like stroller mom workout groups and
Oh,
stroller mom
cool.
walking meetups where you're meeting other people who are going through that same kind of funk that you're in. Like it's like a weird haze sometimes. And it was just so healing, just to be around others who understood in that moment. Whereas, you know, sometimes your friends, they're not pregnant right now, so they don't necessarily get it. Um, you have to make those new bonds and
Yeah.
find those meetup groups in your area. There's always something. They have stroller workouts and mom walks. I would definitely recommend that.
Awesome. That's a great point too, because I was struggling trying to find mom friends when I had a baby. And none of my friends really had kids. So that's a great way to point that out too. But yeah, the 150 minutes, like we mentioned, kind of gradually increase to there. You mentioned that the stroller workouts, they had like stroller workouts and things like that with those moms. So 30 minutes of a workout is really all you can need for the day if you just want to gradually increase. But I even broke it down even further to say even 10 minutes um, gradually throughout the day. So maybe you don't have 30 or an hour. You can just do 10, and go from there. So let's talk a little bit about nutrition. I do have a question that I did want to kind of ask, kind of get your mind thinking is, what nutrition advice did you get when you were pregnant? Did you get any? And then did you stick with them? Like, do you guys have like any insight on that?
Personally, I received advice of just like after delivery, making sure that I'm getting those warm soups and then making sure that I'm restoring my body with minerals. And so I found those like mineral rich teas. And then to fight postpartum depression, I did a smoothie every single day. And that smoothie was like, for me, you know, it could be whatever for anyone, but for me, the best thing was frozen mango, spinach, avocado, hemp seeds, and then turmeric powder. Because something about that turmeric and mango combination can help, you know, just boost your morale and your mood as you're breastfeeding and not sleeping and everything's changing all around you. Having that smoothie as a staple in my morning routine really helped me set the tone for better nutrition throughout the day. Just especially when you have multiple children and you're, you know, taking care of one and trying to take care of yourself. Um, just having that one guideline that I'm going to do this for myself every day. I'm going to take my postnatal or prenatal and I'm going to do my smoothie really, really helped me personally.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was gonna say, I also feel like for me, I didn't get anything. So that's why I asked, is because I didn't really get much, but I do remember looking up more about like placenta and eating it or pills or different things like that. So I did try to do encapsulation and I don't know if it worked. I felt better. So I'm thinking it did, but I only did it till, I had the pills. So that was like my one thing that was different that I didn't really get talked about, but I just wanted to see if you guys had any insight on placenta. Did you guys ever hear any stories, anything like that?
I personally I just left my placenta on as long as possible until it stopped. There was no blood in the cord. And then I let them cut it a few days after or a day after. And then the other time they immediately cut my placenta and took it. And then I thought about eating it and then I put it in the freezer and my husband threw it away. So I never got around to taking my placenta, but I'm glad you tried it.
Have you heard anything about that, Marie?
Well, I was going to say that the delayed cord clamping is just for our audience, for those who are, we've got a couple of new mommies. What it simply means is, you have a vaginal delivery and the umbilical cord, the physician will delay cutting it. So, and there's some benefits to the baby. It's why it matters. It's like it's got stem cells, it's got Oh gosh, and and I think it can even be done after a C-section. It just requires coordination. So that may be one of the conversations that you have with your doctor if there's like if you have twins, right? My daughter had twins, and that was a conversation that we had that we wanted to ensure that it was if it was a scheduled C-section, would we still be able to have that benefit? But it has like iron stores, it has better oxygen and oh, so, there's some benefits to the baby's immune system. So that's what I know about the delayed cord clamping. I have to say, in full transparency, I don't know about the placenta, the practice of consuming the placenta. That's going to require some. I'm going to have to look that up. I know I've heard it, but we've not done a workshop, and it was not something that was discussed in my world when I was, going in and out of hospitals. So, and then there's also a cord milking, where they take that remaining blood that's in the cord back to mom or the baby one. So that part, asking them to do a delayed clamp is ideal. The rest of it, talk to your doula. Doulas in the our midwife or your physician. But I know there's some doulas in the audience that if you guys want to chime in, and then I would love to understand because I have seen the companies that do was it a company that they gave your placenta to, Melanie, and then yeah. And I know there are
Mhm.
also the companies that do the cord blood freezing, where you can bank it in case your child has some sort of genetic disorder, because there are some benefits.
Mm.
I talked about the immediate benefits, but there are companies that do the cord blood banking. I don't know if they still do that, but that used to be a big thing.
Yeah. So that's where I found mine. I forget the name. I can also to and provide that for you. But yeah, she provides it. She gets it from us. We had to take it to her, but sometimes she'll come and pick it up. Then she was able to encapsulate them. She made like the leftover into like a heart. And then also made like some liquids as well to like have as well. So it was different. It was something that I was just like, I've never done, I've never tried this. So I was like, why not? I'm not gonna do anything else with it. So it was a really cool experience, but just thought I'd ask, see what other people thought. But yeah, definitely get back to me whenever we have someone to chime in on that.
I'm so glad you mentioned that though, because if you're pregnant right now, you should totally ask to keep your placenta and not have your cord cut because they take it and they use it, and your baby and you can use it.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly there's scientific benefits to both mom and baby. And don't ask me the benefits to mom for the delayed clamping, but I know the benefits to baby. I was going to echo something that Vanessa said about turmeric, and where I have seen benefits to consuming turmeric is well, the benefit of turmeric is that it reduces inflammation. And inflammation can affect your milk production. Because if you think about it, if you are inflamed, i.e. swollen, your blood vessels are swollen, and that's going to impact your milk production. So turmeric is one of those, I almost said supplements, but that's not the word, but turmeric, ginger, and cinnamon are great for reducing inflammation. And then I know this was 42 years ago, but actually my daughter, it was still a practice with the little 6 years ago, bone broth that helps with tissue repair. And so consuming bone broth, things like probiotics, yogurt, sauerkraut, kefir, if anybody is and then what is that? What's the Asian cabbage that's high? The kimchi,
Oh
high
yeah.
probiotics. Probiotics are good foods to, natural probiotics are good. And then of course, I almost said it, there was a probiotic that was on the market for babies that were vaginally delivered, that were not vaginally delivered, because if your baby is delivered by C-section, they miss the benefit of the microbiome of going through your vaginal canal. And there was a wonderful probiotic called a Vivo that you could give to your baby, those C-section babies. But I just recommended it recently, and I think the mom said it's no longer on the market. So,
Mm.
but those are all some. And then people talk about things like magnesium, B6. Fenugreek, I'm still trying to figure out because some people say fenugreek is good as a mood stabilizer, and then others are like, nah. So it's that thought. But if you can find a good naturopath, that would be good. And so, thank you. Imagined possibilities. You have to obtain the hospital's policy on harvesting your placenta and make sure you have to have the correct packaging and materials to remove it. Yes, that is so. And that's one of the questions that when you're talking about which hospital, when you're talking about or vetting your doctor. And then the other piece is even see if it's something that is of, if it's that significant for you. Like I was talking to a mom recently who had multiples or who was having multiples, and it's like, she was going to a level 4 hospital because she was having multiples. And we always tend to assume that by the time you have triplets or quads or more, that they may be preemies. So you want that level 4 hospital, level 4 being the skill set for caring for your babies, right? And you don't want to deliver at a community-based hospital and then they transport your babies to a larger hospital, right? And so for her, they talked with her about the delayed cord clamping. They do the milking of the cord, but they don't do the I'm going to give you the placenta because they're so big. And it's a big teaching institution, blah, blah, blah. And so for me, going to that level 4 unit is more important than whether or not she gets the placenta. So sometimes we have to, when we're vetting the doctor, I certainly suggest that the hospital think about those things like, am I having a singleton? Do they have the capabilities of doing a VBAC? And we'll talk about a VBAC on some other time, and I know we're running out of time, but those are questions that you want to know before you start that relationship with your doc. Will they be there? Because sometimes that practitioner that you've been seeing forever, in that 9-month period, if their practice policy is, I'm off today, and you go in labor today, someone else is going to deliver your baby that you may not have met. And most practice groups have a protocol where if that's their standard, somewhere in your pregnancy, they start exposing you to the other practice members so that they're not a stranger to you when you come in. But I encourage mom to ask those questions. And if it's a single practice, if it's a doc who's, or who are a midwife, that they don't have partners, who's covering for them? Because if something happens and you are on vacation or you are off that day or traveling or whatever, who's going to deliver my baby? Am I just rolling in the hospital and I get a hospitalist who may be wonderful, but I don't know him or her, right? So anyway, I digress. But nutrition is a critical part of both your
Awesome.
pregnancy and your recovery period.
Definitely. Awesome. So what I'll do, make sure I'm on this right area. Okay. So now I'm just going to provide you with some tools and information so you guys can have, if you want to have screenshots or your phone out for any of this, definitely go ahead. But this is just your daily calorie intake. So I provided this for the moms that are prenatal. And then also, if after you have the baby, this is the daily. And this is up to the age groups as well for how many calories you should be intaking. Now you'll notice that the next slide will provide you with pregnancy or lactation. So kind of just wanted to highlight the differences, how much more calories that you do need to intake going into that. And then even when it comes to protein, you're looking for 25 grams per day as an increase. So it is a lot more. So I just wanted to highlight that. When it goes into breastfeeding and extra iodine and choline, I did remember Vanessa mentioning she needs more minerals. This is something that I didn't know, so I wanted to kind of add that in there as just something that is kind of important to have during that first year of postpartum. It helps with a lot of things, but I never knew. So I just wanted to add that on there and the types of foods, which would be like salt, egg, seafood, dairy, um, even egg yolks and meat. So these are all important things as well. Next thing I wanted to bring up was if you're looking to lose some weight, protein's important. So these would be, this is great to kind of just point out that protein, a lot of times when women hear protein or working out, they think I'm going to get big or bulky or things like that. So just wanted to highlight that this is helpful for both instances looking to shed some weight, but also if you are a woman looking to build muscle. So both of these have benefits as well. And then the types of or how much protein are recommended, the minimum being zero point 0.8. But if you're doing resistance training, obviously that goes up. Again, looking to build muscle, and that goes up as well. Muscle is our friend because the more muscle that we have, the more energy our body, or I should say our metabolism, starts to burn a little bit quicker, just because it's trying to that muscle requires more. So it's a really big important part. So I wanted to bring that up, and then also just talk about how the hormonal changes as well with pregnancy. It's important to kind of have that energy to kind of balance that out. So I want to provide some just recommendations for the rest of the nutrition portion, which would be carbohydrates, what that looks like in a chart, just to kind of give you that insight. Carbohydrates are important during workouts specifically. So if you are working out, it's important to have that. They can be complex as well, fruits, grains, vegetables. It's important as well to utilize whole grains and fibers, essential vitamins and minerals. Those would be the biggest key points as well. Looks like we have some comments as
I
well.
love this that you're bringing it up. I think one thing that I wish I could have heard when I was working out and breastfeeding and pregnant was that it's okay if your plate of food looks like this, like if it's a big mound. Just because when you're breastfeeding and you're working out, like you could just eat a horse all day long.
Yes.
And I love those smoothies and like just nuts and like having Brazil nuts or like different really fatty nutrition filled meals. They're going to be critical. If you're working out and you're feeding a whole child, you have to eat.
Yes. Perfect. Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm thinking. I'm just reading the side comments as well. You guys have great information.
I
All
agree,
right.
Vanessa, because a lot of times we, because mama's there trying to get the bounce back, body,
Mm-hmm.
we're trying to nurse at the same time. And if you don't take in enough calories, your body's not going to produce enough milk. Also, and someone who's a doula helped me with that wording that if you aren't taking in proper nutrients, your body does like a proprietary thing for whatever nutrients you are getting, it goes to the human milk. So then you are at a deficit. And so that's why
Mm-hmm.
often we'll see women who maybe are calcium deficient because they're not getting enough calcium, they're nursing. And so what little calcium they have in their diet is going to the baby, and then that
Mm-hmm.
to calcium deficiency for mom. And I just dropped in the chat, if you're breastfeeding and you're active, and being the key word,
Yeah.
take between 2,300 and 2,700 calories a day. And then more if you either are working out the way Vanessa was, very strenuously, or if you're breastfeeding multiples. So talk
Mm-hmm.
to your nutritionist or talk to your doctor about what's ideal for you.
Exactly. Yeah. And these are all recommendations too. Everybody's different. So I kind of just provided different options too, because everybody has different nutritional needs. So these will be like general information. So touching on fats, I did bring this up mostly biggest key point, monosaccharide, polysaccharide. Um, these would be the ones that you want to look polyunsaturated, saturated, I should say. And these are going to be the most important just because your body doesn't make these, they can't produce those too. So it's important that you do get those in your system. So this would just be like a table kind of touching on what that looks like, what types of foods for both of those. And then I did want to bring up the plant-based when it comes to being vegan, vegetarian. We kind of mentioned that 25 grams of protein. When you are vegan, it's a little bit harder to absorb. So one great tool I recommend is just by, having your vitamin B12, pairing plant-based iron sources like spinach with vitamin C. That kind of helps with absorption so that you are able to, still get all the nutrients that you need and baby.
And one thing I want to say is like that routine thing can really be helpful. So like if you have by your bedside some Brazil nuts, maybe like a hot water dispenser so you can make a nice tea. Just find little anchors around your house to make sure that you're getting nutrition because it is going to be new and you are going to be totally devoted to that adorable baby that you created. So as many ways that you can give yourself strong anchors to remember your nutrition, like if it's a morning routine or an evening routine or a lunch routine, or when I'm sitting over here, this is here routine. I would say that's so helpful.
Yeah, because you really forget to eat. Like you don't even think about it until you're like, oh, I have to breastfeed and I haven't eaten. And yeah, it's a great point. I did want to highlight the last part would just be hydration, just drinking water, drinking enough fluids in general. Super important. Our bodies made up from 50 to 70% of water. So it is important to have that as well. These are just some recommendations overall for nutrition. So if anybody needs like that specific information, exactly what that looks like, this is for general population and what that looks like. And then the next page is going to highlight for pregnant women and what that looks like. And it's going from the trimesters as well, so you can kind of see the change. And then the next one is going to cover.
I'm sorry, Melody, just for
Yeah,
clarity, for those of us
sure.
who, so in the first trimester, the recommended total caloric intake is 2,000 calories. And then the second is 24, and then the third is 26. So that's what,
Hmm.
okay, thank you.
And
And
this
then,
is the age group as well, so you'll notice that this one will be different.
I just realized that. Okay, thank you. I've not seen that
Hmm.
before. I'm just learning all sorts of things. I hope you guys are as well. What I think is interesting is it's definitely not a high carb diet. You're
Yeah.
2,400, or even if, 1,800 calories and only 175 carbs, which is, I shouldn't say only, but it's certainly not eat as many potato chips as you can, or mashed potatoes or
I
rice.
know, and it's flexible because I know it's so hard to stick to something. So that's kind of why I put the recommendations because it's like it's not realistic for everybody, but it's important to try to kind of keep that if you are super interested in that portion. And that's also what I was going to talk about too after the nutrition is that I know it's hard sometimes to even just be focus on nutrition if that's not your biggest thing that I mentioned in the beginning, where you maybe don't work out or don't eat the best, different things like that that you want to work on. Give yourself grace and all this. You definitely can start slow and maybe just stop eating desserts at nighttime. So you have like a cutoff window. That could be like the first start to the rest of everything else. Um, I feel like a lot of times being in the fitness industry, you see so many different people's ideas of what it looks like. So I try to tell people, especially after going through and giving birth and all of that, you just, if you are craving something, fix your craving. Do not try to, don't try to stop it. But just keep this in mind in the back of your head because at the end of the day, you will need that bounce back that we're working towards. But there are windows where you can, have those cheat days or cheat meals or, a cheat meal every day if you need to. But if you are doing that physical activity and it is balancing out, then you'll be good.
I love that you said that. I went personally from being like the 210 pounds right back down to 150 in like a span of, I'd say 8 months. And during that time, I had to have dessert. But my little game with myself in my head was, if you're gonna eat this French silk pie, you need to have a whole salad. Like eat a bunch of lettuce, figure it out. And I think if you
Yeah.
play those games with your cravings while you're breastfeeding, it just makes it so much easier um, to make sure that you're fully getting nutrition so that you can do what you've been called to do in this season. It's like when you're lifting and weights and working out, you're really preparing yourself for, you know, your baby's turning into a toddler and now you got to get them in the car seat and do all these things. So it's very, very practical what you're doing when you're working out, and just making sure that you're being kind to your mind and your body.
Right.
Exactly.
I don't want us to go past one of the things that, and I wish, imagine possibilities. I wish I knew your name. Tell us your first name because you've been so helpful this all day or this whole week. I think you've been on a couple of our workshops and had some gems. One of the things that our friend Imagine suggested or points out is that if you have other comorbidities, right? If you have a high risk of preeclampsia, if you have, oh, she raised her hand. All right, girlfriend, I'm gonna let you talk. I hope you're a girl. I'm your girlfriend all week. Let me find how I let you in. But one of the things that you want to make sure that that you talk to your doctor because you may not be able to do 2,000 calories or you may have to drop down. I'm trying to see you. Hold on. I don't see how
It's because
there you are. I saw it. I got her. Are you there?
Peace, blessings, and imagine possibilities. And I apologize for my voice. Uh, I have asthma and it's very active right now.
Ah, thank you. Well, I thank you for all your engagement the last couple of days. So it's good to meet your voice. Were you going to elaborate on the comorbidities for us?
Well, it's just that a lot of, unfortunately, a lot of birthing individuals may have comorbidities that they do not know that they have, in addition to them coming into the prenatal care space later in their pregnancy. So, one of the things that I always make sure that they do prior to trying to do any type of fad dieting or modifying their diets and things like that is make sure that their A1C is in range. Look at what their weight is. Are they morbidly or are they morbidly obese? Do they have any other things in their history that may preclude them from being able to, let's say, consume a lot of nuts, consume a lot of where are your uric acids? What are those levels? Do you have a predisposition to gout and things like that? And just making sure that they understand it takes 9 months to create that precious child.
Mhm.
It's going to take at least 9 months for you to possibly get back to your pre-pregnancy weight and or even beyond your pre-pregnancy weight. However, the diet that you modify fortifies your child while you're pregnant, but more importantly, it gives them a better and healthier start in life and for life when you have modified those eating habits so that they are mimicking the healthier eating habits as opposed to some of the habits that you've had in the past. So it becomes a communal and a familial change and a health benefit.
That's such a good point.
That's so
Thank
beautiful.
you. And I'm sorry, what is your name?
Karen,
Karen?
yes.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you. That's such a critical point. And we've done a workshop earlier this year about weight loss surgeries and the implications for expectant women if you've had a weight loss surgery. And so that's also a consideration. So thank you, Karen. That is certainly a point if you have, and sometimes to Karen's point, we may not know. And so getting that full make panel is important. And then something she said about, it took you 9 months to bake that tiny human. And it's still true. Many physicians will say it took 9 months for you to bake that tiny human. It takes 2 years for your body to recover. So expecting your body to recover and do that bounce back in 5 months, in 4 months, you can end up doing more harm the way Vanessa has shared. Well, I know we've run over, but we always do because we always have so much we want to talk about. Thank you guys see, it's early in the afternoon for us. We could talk all night. It's
I
still only
know.
5 o'clock for us. But for
I
those of you on
know.
the East Coast, you probably have kiddos that are like, it's bedtime. But thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Melanie, for taking us through this wonderful learning. If you're open to sharing the slides, we have the email addresses of all of, help me. we have all the addresses, email addresses of our attendees. We can send them the deck if you want. I will, when we send the recording, we'll include the link to Melanie's LinkedIn. We'll include the link to Vanessa and her team. Thank you, Vanessa. I want to do a call out to Vanessa for a very special thank you. For those of you who don't know, and I haven't done this all week, somebody's going to beat me up for not doing it. We have an online virtual auction where we are auctioning experiences. I don't know if you guys have seen it on our social media, but Vanessa has a beautiful rental home here that she does through Airbnb that's on the side of a mountain, and you can sit in the backyard and see all the nature and go hiking, as I mentioned, that she has donated. And so you get 4 days, 3 nights at the home, and you can see it on I'll drop it in the chat. You can see it on our website. And then we also have one of our dear friends who owns a preserve in South Africa, and she has donated 7 days in South Africa on her preserve. And when I tell you I came as close as this computer to lions, I am not exaggerating. But one of the things that I learned is when a lion has eaten, they're lethargic. They don't care what you do. They don't care if you walk right past them. So there you go. So that's how people get those wonderful photos with live lions. And so just to let you all know, please, if you have any interest in coming to Arizona, between Vanessa and I, we can give you recommendations for what? Restaurants, hiking trails, everything, right? And so, and then in terms of South Africa, the same thing. I was blessed to spend a month there, and so am planning to go back. I loved it that much, and the preserve is just like nothing you've ever seen. I saw animals I did not know existed. So look on our website if you have any interest at all. If you have any questions, reach out to us. We're happy to help. Thank you, Vanessa, to you and Matt for donating this beautiful property and always being such a big friend to BTM. Thank you, Melanie, our new friend. Thank you, Karen, for coming on and helping join us and for joining us all week. And everyone else, have a good night. See you guys tomorrow.
Thank you.
The conversation continues. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.